On today's episode of Putting Way Too Much Effort into a Crappy Old Truck, I'm going to be working on removing the HVAC panel from my 1996 Ram 1500. The reason I'm doing that is because I need to replace the evaporator core, and while I have it out, I might as well go ahead and do the heater core. I'm probably also going to go through and replace all the old foam on this as well. You can see some of that's deteriorating and breaking away, so the foam on these blend doors and on those passageways up there. There's also foam that is sandwiched, I believe, in the firewall between, let me grab my light, the HVAC box and the firewall. And you can kind of see that there. That's where the AC evaporator core is, and the reason I've got to replace it. If you look closely, you can tell that top line is really boogered up. When I was replacing my compressor and some of the lines in here, I ended up breaking the line out of that instead of removing it like I should have. So yeah, that's what got us here. So I'm going to be removing the dryer. There's also a bolt right there above the dryer. You see that bolt sticking through the wall or stud sticking through the wall. We'll have to remove the nut off of that. There's two more studs down here. One, they're both behind the engine block. There's one sort of there over my transmission fluid handle, and one's going to be straight down up underneath that. It's going to be hard to get a camera in there. But yeah, I believe there should be four. One's behind this dryer as well. So we'll get those pulled off and then come back inside the truck and get this ground strap up here on the top. And then I believe we should be able to just pull it right out, since I've already gone through the trouble of removing my dash and what appears to be the rest of my interior as well. All right, I'll bring you back when I make a little bit of progress. I nearly forgot to mention one of the most tedious parts of this job. If you see there, just to the left of my transmission fluid handle, or dipstick handle, those two hoses that run into the firewall with the clamps on top of them, those go to the heater core. I've got to unclamp both of those, and I've got to use pliers because I don't have the right clamp to do that. These old hoses are really tedious. They don't like coming off because they've been on here for nearly 30 years now. So I've already got new hoses. It's a good idea to replace these hoses anyways, just from their age. So if I've got to, I'll cut them off. It's no big deal. And a quick little correction here on the studs we had to pull out. I showed the one that's up there behind the engine. There was not a second one over there. There was that one that was over the dryer, that one that was beneath the air dryer bracket, and then I had to remove what I believe is the ECM, but some sort of a control module right here. It was just a few 8 mils on the outside. Unplug the connectors, pull it off, and then there's one down in the middle there. I don't know how well you can see it. All right, everything's disconnected. Come on in here and pull her back. Looks like we got a vacuum connector holding us up here. Whew. Take a look at that vacuum on later. And we're out. Heavier than I expected. And there she is, my HVAC box. Like I mentioned earlier, some of the seals are kind of rough in here. You see down inside this blower motor, you got a bunch of leaves and debris down in there to seal around the top. This one's actually in okay shape. I might be able to leave that one alone. It still feels pretty healthy. This one, kind of the same. We got a chunk missing. I'll probably go ahead and try and find a replacement for both of those. I should be able to just go to an arts and crafts store. Come back around here. Here are the ones I'm a little more concerned about. This foam right here actually goes up against the firewall in the engine bay, and water gets in there. It can get in through here. Not a whole lot, it'd just be spray, but it's another route of water intrusion. Here you can see that nasty, nasty AC line. That's the reason I'm in all this mess. And here I cut my heater hoses off just to pull it out. Like I said, I know I'm going to replace them anyways. Might as well go ahead and cut them. So getting this heater core out, let's see how nasty this water is together, shall we? I had to do a drain and fill on the radiator recently, but I bet this heater core is pretty clogged up. Yeah, it's all red and rusty looking. So it's a good chance for me to go ahead and flush out the coolant one more time. Could probably use a good 7 or 8 flushes, honestly, but just one will do for now. Removing this heater core, remove those 2 screws there, bang bang. That ground wire actually went up over the heater block onto the firewall. Not the heater block, the heater core onto the firewall, so it loops under that hose and back up to the firewall inside the truck. And then that screw there, we should just be able to lift this out. All right, we got the heater core out. A little foam light on. I don't have a proper flashlight on, but you can see how wet it is down there. This is definitely leaking. If you come over here and look at the, get you back in the shade so you can see that green ooze down in front of that heat exchanger. See, that was definitely leaking. I wonder if that was maybe what was causing my driver's side floorboard to be damp, but no idea. I'm gonna go around and look for other culprits for that as well, but yeah, time to replace that anyways. All right, we got the HVAC box turned upside down here. Got the blower motor here on the left. Going back toward the driver's side, we're standing at it from the firewall side. Just going around here, take these little Phillips head screws out all the way around the perimeter. I think there's about 13 of them. I could be wrong, but I'll pull those out and bring you back next. All right, we got you over here on the bench so I can actually work a little bit better and you can see better. Back on the firewall side behind the blower motor. This wire, you'll have to unplug here to break this case apart or open it up. This wire just kind of pushes down. It sits up in here like that. So you just pop it down and out. That'll allow you to separate everything on this half, follow that back around. These hoses are a problem. So on this, it looks like a vacuum solenoid of some sort for the blend door solenoid. I think that's the right word. I'm not actually a mechanic. I just take stuff apart. Some vacuum connections. So the red one goes here on the bottom. Pull that off. Looks like a brown one goes here on the side. Pull that off. All right. And then we got a yellow one on this one. I don't know if that's necessary. No, it's not. Okay, cool. Come back around the back side. Everything looks pretty good over there. So get this thing cracked open. And missed a couple steps. Had to unscrew this where it went in right here. Pull this. That just slides off the end. This panel just has some push or pull tab connectors that are on the bottom. There's 4 on this, so that just pops off. Those 4 connectors are there, 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 and there. Just a little screwdriver on them or your fingernail, whatever works for you. And then it looks like there's one more screw in here. And there it is, the evaporator core, the source of all my problems, the reason I had to pull my dash, the reason I broke my dash, the reason I now have to replace my dash. And boy, is she pretty. So yeah, I got a lot of debris build up in here. That would explain why my blower motor was making noises as if there was pine straw in it. And this panel, it looks like sat over the bottom of this in some way. Pretty sure it was like so. That's kind of torn up. It may be reusable. I'm going to see about trying to find another one, but this is probably a really hard to find piece. And so I probably shouldn't throw it on the ground like that. That blower motor's just got more gunk around it. They can vacuum all that out, clean out the inside of that box before we put it back together. I'm going to go ahead and order a new blower motor and a new control module, little box for it. I forget what it's called, but it's a common failure on these. Well, I've got it all apart. I might as well go ahead and replace it. Sorry, I got hiccups. So this should pull. It looks like this just pulls out. Yeah, it'll lift right out. And then we'll look at the deal with foam around here, all that later. But I'll get this out and get the new parts unboxed to clean this up a little bit. All right, well, I got the inside of the HVAC boxes vacuumed and wiped out. Like I said, I'm going to be getting a new blower motor. I've got a new AC evaporator setting in here, but I don't have foam for it. So when I get foam for everything else, I'll go ahead and get foam to wrap around the edge of this. Where'd my old evaporator core go? There she is. So yeah, just keeping the old parts around to see where they put the foam at. You know, the way it was used by the OEM. I'll pretty much mirror that. I need to get some more foam for this. And that should be the next thing on the list for y'all. Next time y'all see me, I should be installing foam on here. I should be getting this button back up and then reinstall back in the truck. And I'll put a timestamp for where that is because I'm about to talk for a few minutes. For me, however, that's going to be probably another week at least. You know, weekends are only so long. I've got a bunch of projects going on simultaneously. I want to replace this headliner in the truck. I'm going to pull the back panel off as well. And I'm going to go through here and I'm going to dynamat. I think that's what it's called, the sound deadening. I'm going to put extra sound deadening on the floor on the back panel. The sound deadening in the passenger side floorboard isn't too bad, but there's some rusty spots around it, and I bet that's from where the heater core was dripping and having some set in that floorboard. So I'm going to bust that sound deadening out. I can replace it. I'm gonna bust this sound deadening out. There's a pretty bad leak on this side. I don't know where it's from. I've done some research. The third brake light in the back and the windshield are common culprits for that. Yeah, what I'll probably do is pull this panel here, this like foam with the rubberized backing. I'll probably pull that out because it doesn't look too much worse to do that from where I'm at now, to give me a good chance to clean it somewhere that's not here in my shop. I don't have running water out here. So I can take it out to the front yard, clean that really good, and then bring some stuff back here to really wipe down the firewall. Yeah, I could probably put some extra sound deadening on the firewall too, before I start slapping this all back together. But yeah, this has got to, I'm gonna do the old dry ice thing, put it in there, break it up, and then hit it with a wire wheel, sand that flat. Because you can see here, there's actually a little bit of rust on that metal. So I want to get that fixed before it becomes an actual problem. You know, pull this up out of the way. Any of those brackets that are bad, we can see about bending some little new bracketry. So yeah, like I said, a lot of things going on, and I kind of wanted to dive into this with both feet before I started ordering parts willy-nilly, to get an idea of what exactly I'd need. Because once I pulled the dash out, I realized that I was in for a much bigger project than I originally expected. Nothing's too bad though, so we'll get it going. So yeah, next time y'all see me in this video, we'll be reassembling the HVAC box and cleaning the outside of it. Well, there she is, the completed HVAC box. As you can see, we got new foam installed around all the old seals. It's not the prettiest job. You know, this stuff comes pre-shaped from Dodge. You can see here's a good example of it. This is one of the more square pieces, but this one was actually in okay shape. I left it alone. So I got some foam. It's adhesive. It's got adhesive on both sides. I just left the paper on this side. It seems to have stuck on pretty well after cleaning. With a wire brush, and then, you know, soap and water, and then alcohol behind that to give that a nice clean surface to stick to. But we got a new heater core, we got a new AC evaporator down in there. The end of these lines are still capped off, as you can see. We got some new foam here on the back that seals between this and the firewall. So yeah, the truck is pretty much prepped and ready to have this back in, so here we go. And over the camera. The smart thing to do is to clean your work area before you start working in it and have your hands on a dash. A big component of your dashboard. All right, she is in. Well, not been a smooth process. I had to yank it back out. There's a vacuum line that needs to run out of the back for, you know, everything in there to work. But took it back off, stuck the vacuum line through. I still need to get this zap down with a wrench. This is the grounding strap. So it's one bolt, then the strap, and then the bolt on top of it. Coming back around to the engine bay up by the firewall. There's one bolt to the left, or one stud that needs a bolt right there. That's behind the ECU. You got two there, so one up top and then one in the little holder for the AC dryer. There's another one up there behind the block. And then on the inside, there's one more stud that needs a bolt too. That's this one right here. That goes up. And that should be all. After that, just get it plugged back up, and fingers crossed it all worked, because I've done too many things at one time to really troubleshoot if I have to come back.